Welcome, everyone. I'm trying to see, I see everybody, so, okay. Um, I was a member of the organizing committee for the last gathering, and so this panel is really timely because we are trying to get as much feedback as possible about how the event went, and to see how we can improve it for the next one. So we have three panelists today, and one of them is still hasn't connected yet, but we're gonna start and we're gonna watch for her to come in. So we have three panelists that were at the gathering in person this year, and I believe each of them are going to bring a different perspective of how they went through this event this year. So the first one is Kate Caldwell, that everybody knows from California. She's been a work member for more than 10 years. She's been traveling and making textiles since the early childhood. She's on the board of Mayan Hands right now, and I had the chance to travel with Kate actually in Peru a couple of years ago. So I'm really happy she's going to be on this panel. Then we have Linda Johnson, who's a new member, and she's from Burlington, Ontario, which was really near where we had the gathering this year. And she's the vice president of the Burlington Handweavers and Spinners Guild. She's a teaching assistant for weaving courses that are being taught at the Art Gallery. She only has been a work member for a few months, but she was really one of the first Canadian, I think, to sign up to come to this gathering this year. And she actually recruited a few other people. So welcome, Linda, as well. And then we have Gwendolyn. I'm not sure if she has connected yet, but she's from Newfoundland. She's another Canadian. And she was one of the scholarship students this year. And she was not only part of the program, but she actually volunteered during the event this year. She's an artist at core, and basically she's exploring the depth and inner workings of knitting and weaving. So if you were at the gathering this year, you probably all heard her presentation. So I also invite people who are participating today to put comments in the chat, question, and any comments you might have about the gathering. So the first question, I guess, for both Kate and Linda, it's more of a general question. What was the highlight of this event this year, of this gathering? You want to start, Kate?
Sure. Oh, good. Now my voice is going to give out. Um, the highlight is always seeing friends. It is a gathering of wonderful people, and that was a highlight. For me, the second highlight, I'm really sorry Gwen's not on yet, because the second highlight was the presentation by the scholarship students and the assistants. I just find it so invigorating, and it makes me so happy to hear what younger people are doing. I know what our community is doing, and I just love their presentations.
Mhm. Yeah, that's true. I agree with that. What about you, Linda?
She's muted.
I think you're muted. Okay.
No, not anymore.
Okay.
I really enjoyed the field trip to St. Jacobs to see the two artists talks that we had, particularly the quilt of belonging. As a Canadian, I had absolutely, excuse me, no idea about it. But what I really loved about it was the fact that it took 6 years to make, and it incorporated all communities and cultures across Canada to put it together as one unit. I really found that very inspirational. So that was one of the highlights for me. The other one actually was going to the Neruda Gallery, and I really appreciated the speaker there who showed us the artwork of people who used art to express their trauma, express their social, political, and views on how life had affected them. That was very powerful for me.
Thank you. Yeah, I was on the same tour, and I have to agree that was really inspirational.
Yeah.
And that was one of the questions in terms of the tour. I don't know, Kate, you didn't do a tour this year, right? I can't hear you. Okay.
Again, go back and forth. Um, the way I set up my trip, by the time we got to Guelph, hey, Gwen is here,
There's
yay!
Gwendolyn. Okay.
Um, the way I set up my trip, I had already been on the road for 4 days before I even got to Guelph.
Yeah.
And I knew I would be tired. And so I elected for the optional free day in Guelph, which was
Okay.
absolutely wonderful.
Oh, good.
We walked into town and walked around Old Town and around the Basilica and got good food for lunch and jumped on a bus and they delivered us back to the campus. So I had a wonderful field trip day just with my partner. It was great.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Gwendolyn, welcome. We actually did
Wow.
introduce you and all this, and I'm glad you could make it. So one of the first question was everybody know you were one of the scholarship student and you did a presentation, so I did introduce you. But the first question was more of a general, what was the highlight of this gathering for you? And I don't know if you, and then the second question that we talked a bit about the tour. So maybe you want to talk about both things right now.
For sure. I think my favorite part was especially certain gathering spaces. So like the last day when we had the auction, and then we also just got to be friendly with each other. Especially the welcome circle was amazing. I think I was a little bit intimidated at first. I was like, wow, these are a bunch of really cool people that I would really love to know. And by the end of what, 5 days, we were like I knew pretty much every one of you, and I love all you guys. It was a very welcoming space to come into, especially when I felt like I was not as advanced in my techniques, but then it wasn't just about weaving, it was about the community behind that, right?
Mhm.
With all the weavers and all the craftsperson people and all the makers in one spot that you could just relate to. Yeah. I think that was one of my favorite parts. Of course, the food was amazing too. I have to admit, the food was
Mhm.
great. Um, there's so many wonderful things. I'm so appreciative of all the people who helped organize the whole gathering this year. They did a really great job
Mhm.
with
And how about
helping with
the
the
tour, the
outings.
tour that you were on? I saw you were on the farm tour, right?
Yes, so I went on the fiber farm tours, and I don't know if I talked to a few people about this, but I've talked to some of my instructors and other people in my life, and I really want in the next like decade to open a wool mill in Newfoundland. And it's something that I really would like to do. So going on the fiber tours was a really big deal for me personally, because I got to talk one-on-one with other fiber farm people. And I'm like, what's your startup costs? How'd you start? Was it just like one tool? Where did you get your supplies? How does this whole business run? Um, but also being there with all the other people who love being there was amazing. I learned. It's also I've known about certain techniques of spinning wool and stuff, but being in the same room as a big machinery that would uh, do the spinning for you would be it's just mind blowing.
Okay, good. Thank
And
you. What
just
did you
figuring out.
thought of the choice of speakers overall? Kate, do you want to start?
Um,
Speak.
I think every meeting has interesting speakers. So there were interesting speakers. Um, I enjoy learning about people who are preserving their cultural past, who are preserving traditional textile techniques. And so that was great. Um, I am going to say again, what I liked the best was the presentation by the scholarship students.
Mm.
That was the most fun for me. But I thought it was a good variety of speakers, and a good variety of solo speakers. I thought it was what I was interested in how um, they were able to do three people or two people for the same presentation and interact with each other.
Mhm.
Um, yep,
Mhm.
that's
Well, thank you. Yeah, obviously we were trying to present many facets of the Canadian scene, textile scene in a number of ways. So
and you
that's
did.
it's a challenge. Yeah. How about you, Linda?
I loved the scholarship recipients. I thought their presentations were extremely well done, and it was really exciting to see such young people being so enthusiastic about fiber. I also love the speakers, the four that we had at the end who were talking about wool, and then there were the speakers who talked from the Ontario wool value chain. Every time I go anywhere, when I see women who either own a farm, have a farm, or like Gwendolyn seem to want a farm, and get excited about wool, it's very inspirational because it's going back to our roots. I also
Mhm.
felt Naomi, our keynote speaker, was
Mhm.
fabulous, and I loved her PowerPoint presentation so that she could show us all of her beautiful beadwork. That was fabulous as well.
Mhm. Thank you. Gwendolyn?
Everything was, they were all beautiful. I think Naomi stood out really, and Wave stood out as well to me personally. Just because the way Naomi has her practice, the way she develops it, and her product, and how none of the pieces are all the same. Every single one's a little bit different, and I really related to that. The way that she just, this is the way it is. This is how I make stuff, and I'm like, I feel like I make stuff a similar way. And of course, Wave, I got to meet her at the Welcome Circle, and
Mhm.
then I got to hear her presentation as well, and absolutely love what she's doing and contributing, especially to Canadian wool. Um, I actually,
Mhm.
since I'm on island, I'm very closed off. And so I didn't actually know that Canada had such a developing wool
Mhm.
fiber mills and all that in Ontario. Like it was amazing just to see all of that because I never get really to see it in my regular life. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point because,
Mhm.
Ontario is a big province and Canada is a big country. And basically, it's not the same across the country. And so that's a really good point because one of the questions I had is, what about the location? Do you think the location to have it in Canada, to have it in Ontario, to have it in Guelph, was it a good choice? Is it like, was it to have it on the campus? Like, do you have any comments to some things to say about that? Um, I don't know. Kate, do you want to start?
Sure. Um, I think you shouldn't have chosen me first, Marie-France, because I adore Canada. And I could just spend the rest of the hour telling you what a wonderful country it is and how I love it. And if you guys would get rid of the cold winters, I'd come move up with you. Um, so I was thrilled we were in Canada. I had not been in Canada in 8 years, and I was very happy. And I liked the town of Guelph. I liked the campus. Um, get, Getting to the meeting site from public international transportation is always a problem. I mean,
Mhm.
it was an issue in Alabama, it was an issue in Guelph. It's difficult to get there. But I was glad that that was our site. I saw a different part of Canada that I've never seen, and I thought the campus was a really good choice.
Mhm. Good. Okay, Linda. Well, that wasn't far for you, right? You were pretty close.
I was very close. I was about 50 miles away, so I was extremely excited that I would be able to get there in a car as opposed to having to take a plane and a few other things like our international people did. I thought the university campus was really well done, and the golf cart situation for those with mobility issues was fabulous for the transportation between the residents and the food hall and the programs. That was well done. And to Kate's point, unless you are going to have something like right or in and around an international airport, it will be logistically a little bit of work to get there. But I think the work to get there is worth it, because staying around an international airport isn't the best for ambiance.
Thank you. And Gwendolyn, we know you love the food.
Oh yes, the food was amazing. Like the fact that you got the whole entire cafeteria for like those days to make breakfast, lunch, and dinner was, I'm like, wow, these people are committed to feeding us, making us like so we stay alive the whole time. And I liked the campus because everything was like, if you were mobile, like you could get places as you could. And I love the golf cart idea. I would totally, for next year, I'm on golf cart, guys. I'll
Oh,
drive you. I'll drive you around because that was a blast. Even if it's just down the road. Some people, again, depends on the person, can walk for long distances or short distances. I think we're always faced with that. I also don't know much about travel because I've only traveled within Canada most of my life. I went to the US when I was like 3 years old, so that's not applicable knowledge about traveling. So I
yeah.
love Guelph. It was another perspective that I kind of needed. So
Mhm.
I like
Well,
that.
since you and
Marie-France,
Linda, it was your first gathering because you're kind of both new members.
Yeah.
It was my first gathering in person, but I had been on virtual gathering before. But I wonder if there's anything specifically, Linda, you can be the first one that you've learned from that experience, from that gathering, being your first gathering and being a new member of GWRP.
First of all, I will be coming back to the next one, wherever it is.
Hmm.
What I really loved about it, I'm more of a production weaver, but what I got from watching particularly the scholarship students and their presentations, I've decided that I need to shift my artwork, my weaving, into more creating art for the wall as opposed to creating utilitarian things on a production line. So I was really artistically inspired by all of the speakers and particularly the students. And so, yes, I'm definitely coming back. And it's so fabulous to be with like-minded people from all over the world. That's what I love about it. I don't have to speak Spanish. I don't have to speak another language. But when you get together with like-minded people, you almost don't need language. We're tactile and we love fiber. And that's kind of our new language and kind of how we communicate. It was fabulous.
Hmm. Gwen, I know I want to hear about what did you learn, but we have a question from Deborah Chandler. How did you get
Yeah.
to Ontario? Fly, train, drive, donkey?
Oh man. Wouldn't I love a personal donkey? No. I took a plane and it was a direct flight from St. John's to Toronto, and it was like a 2, 3 hour flight. wasn't wasn't that long. And then I got a shuttle to the location and all the way back.
Okay. So any specific learning being your first experience as a member and as a participant? And as a scholarship student, I guess you were part of the program, so that's a different outlook.
I would say like everything, but specifically like of course like Linda, like seeing how others have done work and then
Mhm.
how I can improve my work through
Yeah.
that. I did sit down with, I think, I'm really bad with names. It's like Lindsay, I don't know.
Lindsay?
She's a new member. She did spinning,
Oh,
or she's probably here. I'm really bad with names, but I did a drop spinning class with her, and I learned how to drop spin at the gathering, which
oh,
was
okay. Okay.
but also I learned more about textiles, and that really tickled a little fiber bug in me, and now I have picked up a few textile books, especially like a textile history book, um, of different places around the world, and being like, how do people do these textiles from all over the world? And now it's really intrigued me. I'm like, I want to know what type of looms they had, what sticks and threads do they use, when they don't have these like Aberystwyth looms that have big harnesses.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you had a drop spindle lesson with Joan McKenzie from
Yes.
Etobicoke, which is near Toronto.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Joan. Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you, Marianne.
Yeah.
So Kate, you've been to a few gatherings in the past. So is there a comparison to other or past event, or is it more or less always the same format? And because I have to say that the two of the three Canadian on the committee, we had never been to a gathering, so it was a little challenging to know how to put this together. So it's always good to hear how does it compare.
Yeah, and it's a hard question to answer because each
Yeah.
one is unique.
Okay.
When I sat down to try and think about the answer to that, um, I think each meeting calls to me in a different way. The
Mm,
last meeting was Alabama, and the chance to go on a field trip to the Civil Rights Museum was just
Oh,
huge for me.
mm,
I've never been in the Deep South in my life, and so I just know some meetings will have something that calls to me stronger than other things. Like Gwendolyn, I was really happy that there was the golf carts for people for mobility. We were staying closer to the meeting rooms and to food than we were in Alabama. And I
oh,
think
okay.
that was an advantage for a lot of
Okay.
people. Um, Gwen loved the cafeteria food. As a vegetarian, I got a little tired of the cafeteria food after 3 days, but having volunteered at previous meetings, I was thrilled that the cafeteria had such an ecologic bent,
Mhm,
and that we were using china plates and cutlery that was going to be washed and used again. And that at previous meetings where we've catered outside food, it requires a lot of member participation to serve the
mhm,
food, clean up after the food, and we've
mhm,
had a lot of food waste.
mhm.
So sorry to be so detail oriented, but I was thrilled we didn't have all the food waste that we had at the
Mhm.
previous two meetings. So
It's true.
they're all
Yeah.
different.
Yeah. I guess what I'm hearing, it's okay that they are all different. There's a uniqueness
Oh yeah.
to each location that is really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, if we wanted the same thing, we could go to the same place every year.
That's true.
But we go to different places, so we learn new things, and that brings new advantages and new challenges.
Hmm. Hmm.
right.
Any suggestion for the future, things that should be done better or differently or
Marie
yes?
France, can I ask a question of Linda, Gwendolyn, and anybody in the audience whose first meeting it was?
Yeah.
Um, you asked a question, you had a prep question about the length of the meeting. And we used to end the meeting on Sunday morning with the business meeting, and I understand why we don't do that now. But we start Thursday with the business meeting. And I'm really curious to hear from first timers how it was to have no idea what this group is and what you gotten yourself into and start off with hours of business meeting. Was it boring? Was it intimidating? What was your reaction? That's what I'd like to know.
I
Okay.
think I think it was really important to start with that. And to your point, Kate, if you have it on a Sunday when people are leaving, I think a lot of people would exit stage left. I think it's really important to have it right out of the gate. I learned from it. It helped to make people understand the logistics and how much goes into warp, and it gives transparency so that we know where the money is going, what the money is for, And I think it's crucial to have it at the beginning. That's my personal opinion, because it was partly an education for me. And being the vice president of the Handweavers and Spinners Guild, I know what goes into putting together a guild, and you need a secretary's report and a treasurer's report. Those things are very crucial.
Gwendolyn?
Yeah. When I first started, of course, as you said, Little Bamboozled. What is this place that invited me? I did a bit of research, backup research before I came. Like when I was first in there, I think I brought like a little side project. Like I was like crocheting while doing that because I have a whole thing where I feel like I need to be doing something at all times, but I can always have like a little side project. And I took a bit of notes, figured as general, I like business. I have small businesses of my own. So I really liked understanding where you guys came from. I'd like just, if you do it again, just like a brief summary of who you are before you jump into your business model, would be great because context is very valuable. Other than that, I guess it was a little bit long, but that's because we didn't know what was really going on other than it's a meeting. So
Well,
I know.
So the video at the beginning was to provide the context. You don't think it was enough?
Sometimes I need somebody just to say some of it as well to go along with a video.
That's an interesting point.
Mainstream stuff nowadays, mainstream stuff, usually there's a lot of videos and a lot of getting your attention. But if you make it real and have someone talk about it, sometimes people can find that easier to understand. Yeah.
Actually, Kate, I think personally, I really like to have the business meeting at the beginning because even being a fairly long-term member and a volunteer of work, it did provide a framework and a context in one place. And I think before we enter like more of the speaker and all the other event, I think that was really good to have that. Personally, I never thought about it. It was at the end, but I can see it would be you would get more people involved at the beginning than at the end.
Good.
And you want that. I think from an organizational point of view, you want the member to be listening to that. That's the heart of the organization.
Good. Well, then it accomplished what it was supposed to accomplish. You know, I was worrying as the meeting went on about new people and how it would land with new people. So I'm glad it landed okay.
Yeah, I think thank you for bringing that up. Yeah. Is there well, I guess we heard Linda is going to attend another meeting in the future. She just said she would. Doesn't matter where. Are you going to attend another meeting in the future? Both of you, Kate and Gwen?
I guess I'll start. I would love to go. Based in financials, I don't know if I could attend the next one, probably the one after. It depends, but whenever I did fundraising in my local area for this trip in particular, I saw a lot of people really want to see young people go places over here in Newfoundland. So if I fundraise, I'm likely to be able to come next year. And I would love to come. Yeah.
Good.
And my answer would be yes, I absolutely am going to come to another WARP meeting. I kind of wonder about in-person meetings versus virtual, and I don't know the answer. I mean, I started off saying the best thing about the meeting is seeing friends, and that points to in-person meetings. I also know what a tremendous amount of work it is to put together a meeting. And it is both work and expensive to travel to meetings.
Mhm.
And we are in, have more young members, which is fabulous, but we also are an aging demographic. So sometimes I wonder whether it makes sense to like alternate an in-person meeting with a virtual meeting. And I know that this was a hybrid meeting, and we in 2020 we had a brief one-day event because COVID had knocked us all off. But in 2021 we had a full 3-day virtual meeting,
Mhm.
and an all virtual meeting takes into account that we have people across more than 20 time zones. Whereas an in-person meeting, the people who are coming virtually are at the mercy of the time zone where the meeting is held. And they're at mercy of the audio visual setup in a in-person room. And so I think that for people who are not able to get to the meetings, an all virtual meeting has some major advantages. And for those of us who like coming to meetings, it also cuts down on the travel and the expense if
Mhm.
we alternated something like that. So
Yeah.
yes, I'll be coming, and we'll see what meetings where I can come to.
But you raise interesting points because I mean there's the economical situation in going to a meeting, and also not everybody will physically be able to attend. I think to have the hybrid is certainly a good idea. I've been at that in that virtual meeting for the last since the it started. Um, but it's not the same, obviously, but there are people who will never be able to get to, so it's a good compromise. I guess my feeling is maybe we need to do a better job in how we handle the virtual side of thing when it's a hybrid gathering, but that's another discussion. But also, maybe I think when to have in person, is it every year, every 2 years? I think that's something that the board is going to discuss, I think, at some point. Just there's a lot of people have question about that, but you raise good point. Um, I Okay, we have a question here. Did anyone listening attend the gathering only virtually? And then if it's the case, how was it? And I think now we kind of went around the question, and I really would encourage people that are attending, the participant, to either ask question or make comments, either in the chat or in speak up if you want.
Sure.
Is there anybody who have anything to say or comment?
I can start if no one else wants to start. Can you hear me?
Is that Debbie?
Yeah, it's Debbie. Hi, my
Okay.
friends.
I
Um,
cannot see everybody, so just hold on. I need to get to the participant. Anyway, okay, yes, go ahead.
okay, this will come as no surprise. I attended the meeting entirely virtually this year. Um, it was terrible that I couldn't attend in person, but that's another story. Um, of course, when the speakers are there and you're listening to, let's say, a small lecture, it's almost as good as being there, but nothing replaces the personal touch. I I remember seeing my friends on the screen and wishing I could reach out and say, "Hi, how are you? I haven't seen you for a year." That was very hard for me. And I've been a WARP member for a very long time, since the beginning. So I missed that terribly. The other thing I was going to mention, and this was going to be a question, the only session that I missed virtually was when the scholarship students gave their presentations. This was partly tragic, but I had a doctor's appointment. And I'm not sure if the annual meeting recording is up yet. And I was going to ask Elena or anybody if they could tell us.
Not yet.
Okay. So I would encourage all of us to watch that if, like me, you were only able to attend virtually. I also wanted to quickly thank Gwendolyn, because she was one of the people that signed up on a list to help serve on a warp committee. So thank you, Gwendolyn. And I am the one that will be in touch with you about that. Hopefully the email I have for you works, but thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie.
Opportunity.
Anyone else? Deborah, you have nothing to say?
It's Helen here. I would love to say something. I was on the final panel with some colleagues from Ontario, and I just want to say what a remarkable group you are. And I think those of us who are on the panel, we were all sort of trying to get a sense of, what is warp and what do they do, and it was something of a mystery. And I just so regret that I did not go to more of your sessions. I caught the tail end of the morning, and I remember walking into that lecture theatre and it was on fire. And I was just in awe of the dynamic, your level of engagement, the discussion, the willingness to ask difficult questions, the interactions. I mean, you are just a remarkable group. And I think, afterwards, as a panel, we sort of talked, and it was just like, oh my gosh, that was amazing. I mean, you gave us as much as I hope we gave you. It was extraordinary. It really was. And I just thank you for the invitation. I thank you for coming to Ontario. We do have a lot happening here, but it's events like this that really help us see the issues that we're struggling with ourselves. So it was, as I said, it was reciprocal. We all benefited, I hope. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen, for your testimonial. Thank you.
So I do have a question for not necessarily anybody who was only virtual this year, but anybody who's ever been virtual. We know there were a lot of problems this year. The sound was bad, and we heard that a lot, but we also didn't have a way to do anything about it. And aside from that, though, one of the things that has come up is the idea that there are ways to make the virtual side of it more interesting, more involved, more active, more something. I want you to know my brain is a complete blank in trying to think about that. I have no idea how you would make a virtual thing more active or more exciting or more whatever than just putting this thing out there for people to watch. So one of the results of the meeting this year and thinking about our future and a whole lot of restructuring that's going on within WARP is that we're going to be creating 2 or 3 committees. One of them is a meeting overview committee, which is going to be a standing committee going on all the time. And because there were a lot of questions that came up after this, and there wasn't anybody to answer them. There's no official body in charge of meetings. So that's kind of amazing. After 34 years, you'd think we'd have that figured out. So we're going to do that. And one of the things that overview committee is going to be talking about is how to make the virtual side of it more exciting or more interesting or more worthwhile or more something. And there are people who are going to be on this committee who are very excited about that because they have ideas about how to do that and what that means. And so I don't feel like we're going to be completely in a desert, but if any of you have ideas or you know anything about that or whatever, please write to me or us or Marianne or Mary France or anybody. So with those ideas, because we need them. And then the other committees are going to be individual committees for each meeting. So they're like this one. We had 6 people working on just this meeting, 3 Canadians and 3 non-Canadians who had been to meetings before. And so we don't know where we're going next year, but when we figure that out, there'll be a committee just to plan that. And probably it'll be part of the overview committee just because we're getting organized, but it'll be that. And we want to start working 2 years out. So we may have 2 committees going on at the same time, one for next year and one for the year after that, so that everything doesn't get crammed into a crunch. I think Marie France and Marianne get amazing gold stars for the amount of effort they put in, especially as we got closer and closer. And we'd like to lighten the load a little bit. So,
Mm.
yeah, it's very exciting. And we're relooking at everything. Like, where do we meet? How often do we meet? What time of year do we meet? All that stuff. Always with the mind of making it comfortable, making it accessible, making it not too expensive if we can handle that. So part of it is trying to figure out how to keep the costs down or how to bring more money in to offset those costs. What can we do to make this a self-supporting operation or project? And for those of us who, I wouldn't say that I live for the meeting every year, but it's definitely a significant part of my life. And in 34 years, I think I've missed 2, maybe 3. And I can tell you that, yeah, none of them are the same. I mean, there's definitely a consistency and a flow to it, but they're definitely all different. But what they have in common is it's an extraordinary group of people to just absorb, to just be with. And each one of you is part of that. And, we hope you'll be able to all join us. Those of you who weren't at the meeting, we hope that you'll be able to come sometime to experience this amazing experience. So,
Thank
somebody
you.
else's turn.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think Gwen raised her hand. I cannot see everybody, but I can see Gwen.
I did. I know you said email your ideas, but an idea has struck me of something we could do. When I have a favorite thing that's also like a live stream thing, but what they do is they do one-on-one interviews and then post those separate beside the live video. So like at the conference, there could be a section where you go and talk one-on-one with certain people who had a panel, and they have a brief summary of what they talked about, and you kind of like get to know them better. Or even the scholarship students, they can have a side spotlight instead of it just being live. You can upload that to YouTube via their permission.
Okay.
That might be an idea. Because people always want to know a bit more about the people presenting or
Sure.
part of the group. Yeah.
And these are made in advance?
So these were probably made maybe advanced, or if there's time after certain meetings, it's like a podcast setting, so you just sit down with the person, they have a one-on-one conversation, and then you post that. That could be a podcast. That could be a Warp podcast, or a YouTube video of some sort. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
The idea.
Would it be similar to the fireside chat?
I don't know much about the fireside chat, so it might be similar.
Similar for members, yeah. Okay. Somebody just wrote that I understand most of these conferences have to happen in the summer. That's a good question, Deborah, because it is normally in the summer, but it's not necessarily in the summer, right?
Right. Everybody knows their 3 years worth of experience. So what's going around now is, it's always in the summer. Well, it always used to always be in the spring.
Okay.
And some of the places that we're looking at now are not available in the summer, but they would be perfect in the fall or the spring. So we're, as I said, we're looking at everything. Everything's going to get shaken up, and we'll see. The advantage of the summer is that teachers can come, and we have a lot of teachers in Warp. But again, it's also competing with Convergence and MAFA and News and all the other regional conferences, which gives us a plus for going to spring or fall.
Okay.
In the beginning, we had them in the south in the winter so that people would come down to warm up. Could come down to warm up.
Well, you might get a lot of Canadian like that.
Exactly. I mean, they're flocking to Guatemala in the winter. They might flock to a war meeting too.
Okay. Okay. Any other comments? suggestion, or I think like Deborah said, if you think of other thing afterwards, send us an email with your recommendation or suggestion or comments. We want to hear.
Okay.
Enough that I'm going to put my email address in the chat if I can figure out how.
Okay.
Well, oh, there it is. Okay.
Okay, so I cannot see everybody, but if anybody wants to add something, please speak up.
I was just going to say one of the questions that you had asked earlier, Marie-France, was the length of the meeting. And the only comment that I had, the length of it in Guelph, in my opinion, was perfect because logistically, I know that area. So you had taken us on the field trips to the available places that were around it. Anything further would have been requiring longer bus rides, et cetera, et cetera. So my only comment is I think it depends on where you have it as opposed to the length that it's going to be. So in other words, if you have it in some place where it's a real high local mecca of fiber artists, you could have it longer if there was more to do right in a walking area as opposed to the logistics that are involved when you have to get on a bus or a shuttle, et cetera, et cetera. So I think for Guelph, the length of it was great.
The other comment I received is that it's the fact that the tour were in the middle, we're on the Friday. It was a good break for people to go out and then come back to do other activities. I think that was positive to do it like that.
Totally, because it was a really nice break in the middle, just like you said, we needed to get up and walk.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gwyneth, there's a message for you in the chat. Can you see it?
Gwen
Yes,
messaged
Deborah.
me. Yeah.
It's from me, Gwen. I'm just giving you my email because that's something I want to follow up with you about.
Yes. And I got
If
an
you can't see
email.
it, I'll send it to you after if you can't see it.
Yeah, I can see it. I'll
Okay.
send
Okay, thank you,
a
Ellen.
message.
It's okay.
Okay, so Deborah and then Pamela. So Deborah.
Oh, I was just going to say that another really high point of the meeting, and it was the only thing that got a standing ovation and people were just in awe, was when Susan Prozek from Guatemala, who works with Mayan women and weavers, she talked about finding a design and being able to see the music in it. And she transposed, I guess would be the word, not exactly a draft, but a drawing of a weaving symbolism, backstrap, brocade thing. She piece by piece, and she showed us the whole process, turned it actually into a piece of music, which she then brought in not just one instrument, but multiple instruments. It was stunning. It was absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And the whole audience just rose up afterwards. And that is, once we get the recordings done or fixed up, I think that Friendship Bridge, who she works for, is going to take that clip of hers and they're going to use it in a bunch of places, which is wonderful. It was just tremendous. She was she was our only, as it turned out, assistant for the assistantship program. And so she was speaking as an assistant, but then gave us this extraordinary moment.
Yeah. And if you want to know more about Friendship Bridge, next panel next month is it's them. So anyways, yes. Pamela, you raise your hand as well.
Yes, I just wanted to just say again, kudos to the Canadians who had never organized an event before, that you would jump in. That speaks volumes of courage. And I'm sure that you've been thanked many times, but from somebody who wasn't able to go and whatever, I'm very impressed. And you're good role models for whoever comes after you. Nobody has excuses anymore. But very well done. Clearly the program was very well done completely this year. There are so many good things that people talk about. So, yeah, I just want to tell you, you've really earned my respect in spades.
Well, we had help. We
Of
had
course
some
you did.
mentor.
That's the the beauty of the organization.
Yes, yes,
Multiple hands, but yeah.
yes.
I would like to echo that. Y'all were very amazing, but I'm not surprised because my husband's Canadian, so I know how utterly awesome those Canadians can be. So thank you so much, because we really needed the respite from all of the United States insanity. But another thing, going back to what you said, Deborah, about Susan's presentation, you know, it would be interesting to, at some point, explore that intersectionality of fiber arts and other arts. Because, that was that was really mind-blowing, but in a weird way, it wasn't a stretch. You could, so that was really interesting. So, that's just something in the back of our minds, if those opportunities, depending on where we're at, we could be at a university that's got something interesting going on, and kind of
Mhm.
invite that whole perspective into our meeting.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. And that brings up another question that all of you might be able to answer or might not. And that is, one of the things that's happened lately is that we have, in the beginning, we used to, all the programs, well, we didn't even have programs. We just, got together and talked. But as we developed programs, they were all members talking about what they were doing. That was the whole point. And as we began to move around to fiber hotbeds, so that we could look at what was going on in a particular area. So we could go to South Carolina and work with the women, meet with the women doing gula baskets. Or we went to the Southwest, we went to Ghost Ranch and had a presenter who was working with Rio Grande style rugs. And, and so we came here and we did all Canada, which was great. What we're not doing much anymore is member presentations. And is that a problem? Is that a plus? Is that a minus? Do we need to have a 3-week meeting? I think the length of the meeting can't go a whole lot longer, because that's how much time people can take away, especially if we move away from summer and people aren't on vacation necessarily. We aren't all teachers, so a lot of us aren't on vacation anyway. But it's another one of the things we're thinking about is member presentations versus regional presentations. And of course, we want both. So,
yeah, it could be a combination of both.
Well, right. What we need is a time machine, so we can do the 3 days and then start over and do it again with the other set.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm looking at the time. Anything else?
Marie
From
France, do we have a couple minutes left?
Yes, we
Okay.
have 1 minute.
Okay, in 1 minute, let us know how the marketplace went since you organized that.
I think in terms of what I heard, that from the having the vendors there, that it was really good. But it was only one night. So, and the challenge was we did open it up to the public, because there were, I don't know, 70 people at the conference, and we had like 22 vendors there. So it was a big market for one evening, and then a lot of work. So I gather that most vendors were happy with the outcomes, but it was a pretty ambitious market, probably for the number of people we had, but I don't have numbers of that as such. I think overall, Kathy, who worked with me, Kathy McHenry, she said that people overall the vendors were pretty happy with the event. And I heard from participants, that they were pretty happy with the variety of vendors that we had that night. But if you have anybody have anything to add, that's my perspective. I don't know, Marianne, if you have another take on this or.
think it was very positive as a vendor. I think I had a great evening. I think there was very good variety. There was good support from people attending the gathering. We saw a lot of the people, same people from meetings did attend and stuff, and we did pick up some people from outside. It was a challenge, as you stated, the short time in the location, but yeah. I think we can call it a success.
I think so too. Somebody suggests that if we'd have a list of vendors and their website, that would be great. So that might be something to put in the next newsletter. I don't know. I can talk to Liz about that because not everybody has website, but that could be something that people can follow up with for afterwards.
It would. We can also send it out with the link when we finally get the videos up.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I mean, we can do both. But
Okay. 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 Well, we can do that. So we're past the hour. I want to thank Kate, Linda, and Gwendolyn for agreeing to share their experience today. I also want to thank all of you who took the time to spend the hour with us and give us your feedback. And I encourage you to write to Deborah. She loves email.
Or to Marie France, or to
me, yeah. And with your comments, because I think, it's a good time to look at what we've done and where we're going, and it's a good opportunity there's always room for improvement, even if we think that we done well. I think it's always good to hear from people.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you so much. Great job.
So have a good afternoon, everyone.